room. Ready to start the meeting? So first thing, are there any agenda additions, removals, or adjustments? And I did speak with Alice Peel, who's here on Zoom, about adding an item to the agenda. She talked about appearing on part of the public forum, but I think this is an opportunity for us to take action. So I'm going to put it on the agenda as the first item.
I'd like to also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay, so I'll put that on. It's regarding the Meadow Road Bridge. And Marissa, you wanted to pull something off the consent agenda?
Off the consent agenda, I guess. If you could take the minutes from the 13th, January the 13th off, there's a clarification I either want to add or some lines to strike just regarding the path association.
Okay, so we'll put that just before the consent agenda.
Okay.
And with that, is there anybody here for the public forum? Nope. So first item on the agenda, as revised, is an update and a grant opportunity for the Meadow Road Bridge. Alice?
Yes.
Alice is in the house.
I'm bringing you another episode of Keith and Alice find a 100% grant. I've been meeting with Keith.
Keith Cuban from Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission.
Yes,
Yeah,
Keith coming from Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission.
So Carol knows who we're talking about for the minute.
Oh, yes. And so I've been meeting with Keith from Central Vermont Planning Commission, and he's been doing his job at grants and what would be the best option for Waitsfield to go and get a grant for the first phase of this Meadow Road project. Would be a study and a design of a replacement bridge or repair the bridge. It would still be a study of a one lane bridge. So anyhow, we didn't get a lot of answers from VTrans, and we're really unsure of what money they have left over or in their budget right now for the size of the grant we need. We got, or Keith got, quotes from Dubois and King and from Santec, and they're coming in. I think Santec came in at $210,000, and Dubois and King came in at $235,000. So we're using that general figure because we're still may get one or two more quotes in. So if you look at the email, referring that the cost to do this study will be around $210,000. We found a grant, or Keith did. It's a federal grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation, and it's a Biden administrative grant program. It's called the Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program, and it's we qualify for it as a rural community, and we qualify for it as a rural community, and there's a number of programs in it. Like we could apply and we could build a whole train station and a train with one of the parts of the grant, but it does is designed to help communities do repairs on bridges, especially critical infrastructure bridges, which the Meadow Road Bridge has become in town. So Keith recommends we go for this one. It's 100% grant. There's no match to the town, so there's no risk in applying for the grant or taking the grant. What we're proposing is that Keith and CVRPC apply as the grantee. Like they will be the ones, the applicant, and Keith is going to add money in the pot there so that they have administrative monies there, which you can do. And he would be the municipal program manager. So it'll be 100% grant, and we have Keith from CBRPC managing the project. Unless the town wants to have its name and its own program manager. But
Does he have any thoughts about what's most strategic, what would be most advantageous? Does it matter?
having him do it.
Okay.
I mean, I think, given everything going on in the town, it takes a burden off of the select board and off of the town right now. And Keith is an ace at this. He did the local hazard mitigation plan for us and managed that project. And what's his name? Ruben, I forget his, Ruben McMartin, who's the senior transportation planner. He is the CBRPC did get the trail corridor application, the feasibility study, and Ruben is the municipal project manager for that. So, and that seems to be working well.
So the requested amount, the 235,000, we're assuming that would also cover the administrative costs that
Yes.
he anticipates. Okay.
Yes. So, what we need is we're giving this money out. There's like 20 million to give out, for what we need and what we're applying for. The usual grant for this is around $250,000. So we're right in the ballpark with the amount we're requesting. The applications open on February. Open on February 4th, and they go through March 4th. And this is given on a first come, first served basis. So we're getting a jump here to get this pulled together and be like first in line as best we can.
Alice, is this grant program limited to design work, or can it be used for construction and repair?
I was reading about it, and there's different pieces of this program. Mostly, though, it does seem, no matter whether you're building a whole rail network or what we need, it looks like they want the design first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this is for, design, study and engineering design, which is what we need for VTrans. And then we'll be applying for bigger funds for the actual work.
Got it. Yeah, that was where my question was coming from. This is awesome that you and Keith have found this opportunity, so it's great. It said somewhere in here their range of funding is 200 to 750 or something like that.
Yeah.
Find it now. So I'm just wondering, do we preclude additional grant funding from this program? I'm guessing we couldn't really reapply for construction funding from the same program, or should we?
I think that would be a separate application.
Right.
So if there's still available in this program, after we do the first part, the necessary part, which is the design, then we can go back and see what money's left in here.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's been sucked up or frozen somewhere, which is always possible, or it has tariffs put on it or something. But we can apply, the second step would be applying for the construction funding.
Through this program or through this
That I
program?
can't, that I'm not sure, that I have to go back and ask Keith.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering, should we apply for more in this program? Now to cover the design and likely whatever other funding we get would require matching funding perhaps from the town, which we might be able to use some of this money if it's already been awarded.
I
Matching
don't
funding.
think so, because that's why the first step was we needed the estimates from the engineers. So when we apply for this grant, we have a number from Dubois and King or Santec saying, this is what they're gonna do for this amount of money. And then there is administrative money you can add to that.
Yeah, $20 million.
We don't have a project yet.
And I think given that timeliness is probably a pretty important variable here, I'd be inclined to limit scope if that means that we're able to get this out more quickly. Or you, with all the work that you guys have been doing. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree.
And I included the grant, and he sort of started filling it in. It still needs to be finished.
Yeah.
Town numbers.
Sure, so I hear you on keep this focused on the design. I'm sure the 235 covers it, kind of leaves enough
Yes.
for heat and or administrative costs.
We're not finding things to be cheap right now.
Yeah,
We're
no,
finding,
I agree. I'm wondering if should we apply for more? Should we apply for 250 just to be safe or something? I know it's still focused on design. But
asking that I could.
Because the quotes that you gave us, Alice, I think were 235 was from Dubois and King, and presumably that doesn't cover any of the administrative,
Right, so
correct?
we went with 235 from Dubois and King, then we add in administrative costs up to 250. But we're actually looking at the lower engineering cost. There's all kinds of ways you get grants, you know.
Yeah, I don't think, I think it's gonna be pretty competitive. You'd be at a disadvantage if you over. We can come up with some of this. And we can document it. The engineering cost of the
Yeah.
estimates.
And, you know, in terms of continuing to look at funding to actually do the work, we have, Keith hasn't stopped that either. He really does a good job at researching and finding things. Finding this was pretty darn good. Then,
So that is the amount that you need us to take action on 235 is, like, are we able to take action on the proposal that you provided today, or is there?
yeah, what I'm really looking for is, I'm just looking for, I want the select board to know about it, tell you about it, and to go ahead and do the work to apply for it. Before it's sent in, we would have all the final figures.
I think we should take a vote to authorize the CDRPC to go forward.
yeah, I'm fully supportive. I'm wondering, do we need that authorization just because it's a third party? Often when it's if it's a planning commission, for example, and it's an application that's not binding the town because nothing's been awarded yet. We don't get back. I'm good either way, honestly.
I think we should give them the go ahead, and I wouldn't want to do another infrastructure grant without our permission.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like we wouldn't go,
I like this approach better.
Yeah.
we wouldn't go, digging up berms and restoring floodplains without you knowing it.
Appreciate that. So how about you just take a motion authorizing the application? Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Hey, Alice, one thing I would suggest to keep is under question 13, the response. You could beef that up and talk about how this past July, the road was the only way in and out of the valley to the
Yes.
north. And he mentions that's the case, that it is that, but given the real life experience of that you were, in danger for several weeks, and that the bridge suffered deterioration because of that. That example might be a real story that would help with the application.
Yeah, I read through that. I've been busy with other stuff. Climate action plan is heating up again. And I read through that and I'm like, oh, this isn't enough, Keith. You and I are gonna talk about this.
Okay, good.
You're gonna have a good story.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
So he and I will finish it up together.
Thank
One other thing I do want to mention is tomorrow is the governor's budget address. And got a little carefully previews of it from his Secretary of Administration today at the Climate Council meeting. And I think the theme is going to be expenses and reducing expenses. I already know they want to reorg the Climate Council and might be rewriting parts of the Global Warming Solutions Act and restructuring. So you might want to listen to it because the theme is going to be cutting expenses. And that's it, and I thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Now you just listen to it.
Yeah. So anyhow, I'll go look for more money.
Okay, that's all.
More.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You know,
Bye.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
So next item is the town meeting for budget planning for voting articles, which was included in the packet. I sent out a copy on Friday, the JD did. It did not have the Australian ballot item on it, and that was updated over the weekend, and we sent out a revised version today. So everybody should have that. And the Australian ballot article is to amend the Navajo Valley Recreation District memorandum of agreement between the three valley towns to allow the admission of a new town, not a more town, but change to allow for a half-member town to be included as half the representation, half the budget. The rationale being that more town feels as though they are also need to be engaged with and contribute to Montpelier, Northfield, Weatherbury because of their geographic distribution, and that they have half of the residents take advantage of the valley recreation facilities. They all feel they've been working on getting more time for a while, so I've been trying to go with the recommendation of the recreation district. There was some back and forth about what was needed, whether they needed a town vote. I was in touch with Laura and Alice with the recreation district, suggested they get an attorney, and Ron Shins in Moretown. He was a Moretown attorney, but Ron's a good guy, he's a smart attorney.
Guy.
He gave good advice and drafted the article that seems to work for everybody.
So just for my brain here, the article is in general amending the memo so that the idea of partial members are possible. So it's not specifying more town, it's just making it so that it's possible for partial memberships to be included. Is that accurate?
Yes, so The MOU allows for the towns to admit new towns without a vote, for the vote of the select board. But it also stipulates that all members are treated equally, and it doesn't allow for that half member membership. So it changes that, and then it will be up to the select board to decide whether to allow that.
Was there any discussion or data on the number of more townships participating versus?
I haven't seen it. I would imagine it would be. Yeah.
50% of the kids. Relative to the other towns, it makes perfect sense that they're the same number of kids. That's starting point, I guess, with the participation.
Yeah, I don't see most of their budget goes to maintaining the rec fields, which is that contribution and also granting. And I'm not aware of any board general organizations who would like to be grant recipients. It seems like Waitsfield is the prime, few valid funds. It's in particular where a lot of the organizations. I don't think that's changed. So that was the change. The other the articles it's a pretty full agenda for the last couple of years. We've got the budget, we've got the boilerplate stuff about officers and property tax collection. We have the 3 reserve fund, the unassigned fund balance allocations. I did talk to Sandy and Steve this morning, and as we have anticipated, there's ample funds to make this possible without eating into our reserve policy. So this creates a new reserve fund for the town garage, authorizes $100,000 for paving and $75,000 for the Red House fund. It asks for $1,000 for the historical society at their request, and it also stipulates that the request for American Valley Arts for $2,500 is contingent upon approval in other valley and district towns. I made the call that it's not appropriate to ask for the other towns to contribute to it. Oh, you can try.
Just following up that Article 9 around the Niagara Valley Arts, we had talked about last meeting about potential lower motion from one of us or someone else in the audience to reduce that appropriation. I'm just curious how that would work with the DNC participating from the plans.
That's a great question. I did not have the time to reach out and see what they were trying to do.
Well, and I mean, the second half of the article is that it's a comparable amount. So, well, I mean,
If they adopted
If
more,
we-
we adopted less, I think that would satisfy that.
mhm.
All right, so we could still take that approach for that. Check that.
Anything else?
Just as a side note, if we're creating another reserve fund, I would like to invite us to make sure that on our work plan that we do an assessment of reserve funds and perhaps do some consolidation, with Sandy and or Steve's advice, just because I am sensitive to the fact that, well, having a reserve fund for this is probably a necessary and important thing to do, that we do have more reserve funds than we need at this point, and that makes their life a lot more complicated.
Yeah, I think we have a couple that their expiration date is
Oh, really?
I think there's like one that nobody knows what it is.
Okay.
I.
I mean, that's not anything that requires, action on
No.
on the actual warning, but I just want to put that out there as something that is important to me at least.
No, I agree completely. Yeah, we can talk.
Just confirmation question on sequence of events at the meeting. Article 2 is where, in absence of town administrator, we would have an opportunity to provide a kind of a summary overview of the budget and talk through, so there'd be context for voters when we propose Article 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc.
Yeah, usually Article 2 is a response to what's included in the town report. But Article 3, you have in the past had our town administrator give a presentation.
Okay.
To introduce that. That's next 2 items on the agenda. Our town report.
Great. Okay. This is to me the key to provide the context. One for the overall budget, but then the articles 5, 6, and 7. I guess.
Yeah.
Of course, CDP, fund transfers.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on the review adoption? Kelly?
Just curious to in Article 2, where the timing of the last one. Tuesday, February 17th, I guess. 15th is Saturday, and Monday is holiday.
Yes.
So that pushes that.
Yeah, but how do you follow that practice?
Just to give people slightly more time in the 15th rather than less, basically rounding up if there's.
Makes sense. And then the last one, Friday, May 15th. We're just trying to get, ideally, unless it falls on the weekend or a holiday, it would be the 15th every time, regardless of what day.
That's been passed up. Second?
Yes.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Pass it around and get signed. No, sorry, are you in town?
I can be, I will be tomorrow.
Well, this doesn't need to be posted until February 2nd. Jennifer said it'd
Okay,
probably be
I'll
great if
definitely-
you swing by and sign it.
Absolutely. And depending on how long this takes, I will be driving back tonight or
Good.
not. We'll see.
Road conditions could be good.
I saw that.
So the select board report planning, the town report is coming together. There's a few ones that aren't out yet, or aren't in yet, but almost everybody's gotten in. The treasurer's report, they were working on those today. They're looking to tomorrow. All the reserve fund balances and all of that stuff. So, walking through that. Still looking for some bits and pieces, but it's all looking pretty good. The reports that are not done, or the select board report, I started a draft of that today, that I'd like to.
Thank you, Brian.
To send around. We, in the past, have done a more detailed budget report that I think I'm capable of handling between now and Wednesday or Thursday. Some of the pieces of it included this breakdown of kind of every line item that had a significant change to it, which I may be able to do. But I think Johnson needs to be, to your point, there needs to be an explanation of what we're doing with the reserves and all of that. I can build that into the select-board report, but I might look for some.
Yeah.
help in that.
I can help with. Yeah, stuff
Okay. I also found that I used to be really good at Excel graphs. Like, it's coming north.
Well, I noticed it's really changed in the 20 years since I was
Um,
I used to use it a lot.
but,
If you tell me what data you're looking to make something visual from, I can
okay.
help with that.
So I will pass around something with, likely have holes in it, and you can communicate that, through email, we can get going up.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did not, we have not talked about a dedication. At the last meeting, in the last meeting, we talked about thanks, appreciation for quick services chief, the Morris Water Commission, and I thought the town crew for stepping up during all the vacancies. Anything?
And Christine, maybe?
Well, I was,
Is that strange to think somebody who's still?
no, I was not gonna bring that up during the meeting, because you'll probably watch this.
Right, good point.
Take her off the list then.
But, no, I was thinking the same thing.
Who did you have?
Robin, Tripp, with office staff, and
Yep.
that would kind of be in lieu of a dedication. Has happened.
Mhm.
Unless it's, I'm not sure. What the hospital
I think we have enough people to.
I think
to
that'll make,
thank,
enough
but, yeah.
community recognition. Yeah, I don't know how, there's only a handful of people who read the details. These people, even if you answer a question 10 times in the report, somebody's still gonna ask it anyway.
Oh, 100%.
When, in years past, we had a slide presentation where
I have that.
I was just looking for it, putting my finger on it.
I can send it to you.
Is that,
I had last year.
I think that's something that would be helpful for us to do.
I need to have it. Okay, and then we've got plenty of time for that.
Yeah, that doesn't have to be part of the report. So.
Yeah, I actually think, I feel better about not being a detailed report if you do have a very good presentation. Okay. All right, well, I'll send that around. I'll send you that. There's no hurry, but I'll send a draft something.
Yeah.
And then what, I started going through it, successes, wastewater project, planning, the bond vote, exploring culvert, flood recovery, the public grid, staff vacancies. Anything else? Okay. You would highlight? Forming the White House committee.
We pick up the master planning.
Master planning, yeah. We can acknowledge the hard work that the bridge did during the flooding, which sounds a little bit silly, but especially if there's the little bridge they put.
You may have already mentioned the zoning bylaws. For the fund,
How's it going?
Okay. What else can you do? Well, think about it, and you feel free to
Okay.
add to it. Action, so we just kind of covered another report and town meeting day coming.
For, just for someone who hasn't done town meeting, I'm doing a like VLCT training on town meeting day on Wednesday, but that's sort of generic. Is there anything that I can or should look at in anticipation of town meeting day? Because I kind of know how it goes, but I've always been on not the stage.
Be familiar with the time report.
Yeah, and we'll, I also have last year's, in the past, the town administrator has done scripts for town meeting, kind of a reminder of the different budget pieces. And then I think I can update that pretty easily, with this year's budget. It's just like to understand when somebody asks about a certain line item, what it means, and anything in the road department, Charlie Goodman's always eager to talk about it. It's, you know, I found it to be pretty straightforward. But yeah, just
Okay.
kind of understand. And we have typically in the past met with the moderator the night before to kind of go through who's going to address what issues, try to anticipate any kind of problematic things that might come up, or maybe put around it, and let the moderator know kind of what we're thinking, what to expect.
Okay. Do we know who has anybody volunteered to moderate this year, or?
I'm sincerely hoping our last year's moderator is this year's moderator. Do you have any intel on that?
Insight on that, Josh?
Yes, she is more than willing, if you'll have it.
Well, thank you for this. Good enough to-
You know, it really is the best elected position in the world. One day a year. Okay. Well, that brings us to the consent agenda. But before we get there, Leslie, you got something for the minutes.
Yes, so if we look at the minutes from the 13th, basically the lines in question for me, it starts with line 54 through 57. I'll just see. So essentially, especially in light of the article in Valley Reporter, I think it's probably pretty important to clarify that charging stations can't be installed with explicit permission from the town. So essentially, my thought was either that we add after line 57 that, you know, Mr. Shute noted the order of operations for such grants could begin with the select board, and that no changes to town property can be made without permit, because you essentially pointed that out. So essentially either adding a sentence or striking lines 54 through 57. I'm not sure what folks' preferences are, but I just think that merits some clarification.
Where did you? I don't have the minutes in front of me.
I forwarded them to everybody because they were in last week's packet, which is why that last meeting was like, could we take this off the consent agenda? Because I saw minutes and assumed that they were on the consent agenda. So I did forward the packet from the last meeting to everybody, and if you scroll to the bottom of that, it should include the minutes.
Yep. And what can you tell me again what lines you're talking about?
So for the minutes of the 13th is line 54, which begins when asked if there are any further storage needs anticipated by the PAP Association. Mr. Golfman explained that a grant has been awarded for the purchase of 3 e-bikes, which will be available to the occupants of the White House as well as town employees. He indicated that charging stations would also need to be installed for these. And then I was proposing that we add, since you responded at that point, Mr. Shuk noted that the order of operations for grants like these should begin with the select board. And in this specific case, that charging stations would not be able to be installed without explicit permission from the select board.
Yeah, I want to totally agree. We might broaden out, just say modifications to the facility or something. Pre-approved or something like that.
Yeah, modifications to town property require prior approval from the select board.
It'd be good to read into it, but it is in the lease, and not modified.
Right.
I could modify it to anything. But it would be good.
So I want to add that.
That would be
I'd like to do that. Yeah.
that, yes, if there are no objections. I just think there either needs to be nothing about that grant and e-bikes or specific clarification that the grant, those kinds of grants need to start with us and that there should be no
I think
changes to town property.
I think a whole clarification would be better. So
Okay.
so we'll add those on.
Okay.
All right, with that change, the motion would be. Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
I
With that, the consent agenda, any other issues or concerns with the consent agenda?
No.
You did not put a stuff.
We should do.
Nothing to add other than budget and report. Anybody else have anything?
There's a DVMC Community Health Needs Assessment that the Waitsfield Selectboard email address received, which I find to be funny in an infuriating way. I just thought I would mention that.
Maybe we can have some fun with it.
I mean, yeah, so it's a survey that needs to be completed by February 19th, 2025, and we can share it with as many folks as you would like. So just thought I'd put that out there.
There's many folks in the public.
I guess this is something they do every 3 years to get feedback from residents, healthcare, social service agency representatives, community leaders, and other stakeholders. So anyone who is a stakeholder,
I think we could
which I think,
promote that widely on Front Porch Forum and.
yeah, so I would be happy to, not sure how access to it works, but I would happily post that to Front Porch Forum if folks would like.
Yeah,
To
I
do
think
that.
we could do it as this was brought to the attention of the select board
Mm-hmm.
and encourage new members to participate.
Yes, okay. Yeah, and I think it's just a generic link for a survey for stakeholders. So yes, key stakeholder survey. Yes.
Anything else? So with that, we do have 2 personnel issues to discuss in the executive session.
yes.
Motion, second. All in favor?
Hey.
So that is a rough draft. It's still playing in.
You were saying that.
So it needs to be, in the printer by Friday. The goal is to have it Wednesday and send, and possibly send a draft of that. We'll see about that. There will be a chance for you to approve after that. But you would pre-approve